Good morning. This lecture video is going to look at the 4 steps involved in bone repair. So if we break a bone, what's going to actually happen to complete the repair process in order for the bone to be fixed so that it can do whatever its job it is that it's supposed to do. Basically, when bone is broken or damaged, osteoclasts are going to come in and they're going to remove the damaged pieces of bones, and osteoblasts are going to start to increase the amount of mineral that they're secreting in order to make new bone tissue. So both bone cells, osteoclasts and osteoblasts, are going to be very active in injury repair. Again, we want to clean up any debris, bone debris. Osteoclasts will do that, and then the osteoblasts will start secreting more and more matrix, surrounding themselves with that matrix and then forming osteocytes. There are 2 ways in which a medical doctor can repair a fracture. So there's a closed reduction, which basically means the bones are kind of coaxed back together into their normal position by an MD's hand, so there's no surgery that's required. Or an open reduction, which is going to be where surgery is needed to actually pin the bones together. And this diagram here, this picture shows you one of those pins. So they would use screws to kind of hold that pin into place attached to the bone to provide extra stability. There are 4 stages your body is going to go through to repair a fractured bone: a hematoma formation, fibrocartilaginous callus, bony callus, and then remodeling. During the first stage, which is hematoma formation, a bone is going to break. Blood vessels are also broken then. As that bone breaks, those blood vessels coming in are going to be broken, and you're going to end up with some bleeding that occurs. So as a result of the bleeding, a hematoma forms, which is basically a really large blood clot. So we often think of hematomas as being bruised, so it's kind of a big bruise that's going to form at that fracture site. And the swelling is going to, because there's fluid and there's extra bone there or blood there, the swelling will last for about 4 days. So here's kind of a picture showing this hematoma formation up here, right? Here's the fracture. We have bleeding that's going to be in that area of the fracture. Fluid's going to accumulate, blood's going to accumulate, and you end up with swelling and a bruise that forms the hematoma, a clot. The next step is the fibrocartilaginous callus that will form. Capillaries are going to start to regrow, and the immune system's going to come in and start cleaning up all of that debris. Osteoblasts are going to move into that injury site and begin to reconstruct the bone, so producing more matrix and surrounding themselves with that matrix. Fibers are going to form to connect the 2 ends together, and this new mass of cells and fibers that starts to develop in this area is called a fibrocartilaginous callus. So here's the picture that would kind of show that, right? So we got these fibers that are going to start trying to connect the 2 ends of the broken pieces. We got new blood vessels, capillaries that are starting to form. And this is going to be the fibrocartilaginous callus. So the next stage is going to be the formation of a bony callus. What's going to happen is that in that injured area where we have that fibrocartilaginous callus forming, osteoblasts and osteocytes are going to start multiplying rapidly. They're going to be going through that cell cycle and mitosis at a faster rate than normal. And all of those, the activity of the osteoblasts and the osteoclasts and all those fibers are going to start to calcify, and we're going to end up forming some spongy bones. So around those fibers, we'll get minerals and those salts that will start to form, and we'll end up making that trabeculae, or those needle-like projections in the spongy bone, leaving us with more of a bony callus. Now, spongy bone, remember, isn't as strong as compact bone, so that's why this takes about 2 to 3 months to completely convert into compact bone. And so this is why even after a bone fracture, you have to be really careful, because even when the bone is connected with other bone, the 2 ends of the fracture are connected, it's only connected with spongy bone. So we want to, it's not fully healed until that fills in with compact bone. So again, you can see here, you start to get this bony callus, this trabeculae that starts to replace that fibrocartilaginous callus. So we're basically solidifying everything that started up here. The last stage then is remodeling, and this is going to be when the spongy bone ends up being filled in with a compact bone, and any excess debris, cells, material ends up being destroyed. And at this point, we have a fully healed bone. And again, you can see here where that spongy bone that was formed here ends up solidifying into compact bone. So we basically start with a bruise, a hematoma, and this gap here full of blood and fluid. That's going to end up converting into fibers that will connect the two ends of the bone, and new blood vessels will also connect the two ends of the bone. That is then going to convert to spongy bone, and that is then going to convert into compact bone.